Why Frida Kahlo Painted Pain. YouTube podcast narration, cinematic short documentary. In a quiet room in Mexico City, a woman lies still in bed. The world outside continues moving. But for her, even breathing can feel like work. This was not a moment. This was a life. And from that life, came some of the most unforgettable paintings ever created. Her name was Frida Kahlo. And she did not paint beauty. She painted pain. Today, Frida Kahlo is one of the most recognizable artists in the world. Her face appears in museums, posters, and books. Her image is powerful, iconic, unforgettable. But behind that image was a lifetime shaped by physical suffering and emotional fracture. Because Frida Kahlo's story is not just about art. It is about survival. In 1910, she was born in Mexico during a time of revolution and change. As a child, she was full of energy and curiosity. But at the age of 6, she was struck by polio. Her right leg became weaker, smaller, and from that moment, pain became part of her body. But her life was about to change even more dramatically. At 18, Frida was involved in a near-fatal bus accident. Her body was shattered: spine, ribs, pelvis, leg, shoulder. Doctors did not expect her to survive. And yet she did. But survival came with lifelong consequences. She would spend months in bed, undergo surgeries, wear painful medical braces, and live with chronic physical suffering for the rest of her life. It was during this forced stillness that she began to paint. A mirror was placed above her bed, and she painted herself, not as she wished to be, but as she was: broken, bandaged, watching, enduring. Her art began not from inspiration, but from isolation. Unlike many artists who painted landscapes or abstract ideas, Frida Kahlo painted her own body, her own mind, her own emotional world. She turned personal suffering into visual language. Her paintings were direct, unfiltered, intimate, almost like diary pages written in color. Her relationship with the famous muralist Diego Rivera added another layer of emotional intensity to her life. Their marriage was passionate, complicated, sometimes deeply loving, sometimes deeply painful. Infidelity, separation, reunion, repetition. Her emotional world was never still, and it flowed directly into her work. In her paintings, Frida often depicted herself surrounded by symbolism: broken columns representing her spine, animals reflecting loneliness or protection, blood, roots pulling her into the earth. Her body became a landscape of emotion, not hidden, but exposed. And this is what makes Frida Kahlo so powerful. She did not separate art from life. She fused them completely. Pain was not something she avoided in her work. Pain was the subject itself. But her art was not only suffering. It was also identity, culture, strength, resistance. She wore traditional Mexican clothing with pride. She painted her heritage. She painted her contradictions. She painted the experience of being human in a body that constantly failed her. In 1954, Frida Kahlo died at the age of 47. But even in her final days, she continued to create. Her last works still carried her signature intensity. Simple, honest, unflinching. Today, her paintings are studied not only as art, but as emotional testimony. People see in her work something universal. Because pain is not rare. But expressing it honestly is. So why did Frida Kahlo paint pain? Because she had no choice but to live with it. And instead of letting it remain invisible, she turned it into form, color, symbol, story. Frida Kahlo once turned suffering into something the world could see. And in doing so, she transformed private pain into shared understanding.